perfect devotee, as described above, does not make the mistake of thinking that because the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma has entered into the body of every living entity has become the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the foolishness. Suppose a person enters into a room, that does not mean that the room has become that person. Similarly, that the Supreme Lord has entered into each of the 84 lakh particular types of material bodies does not mean that each of these bodies has become the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord is present, however, a pure devotee accepts each body as a temple of the Lord. And since the devotee offers respect to such temples in full knowledge, he gives respect to every living entity in relationship with the Lord. Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that because the Supreme Person has entered the body of a poor man, the Supreme Lord has become Daridra Narayana or the poor Narayana. These are blasphemous statements of atheists and non-devotees. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Lord Kapila is in very explicit terms, is differentiating between the Mayavadi understanding of oneness of Paramatma and the Atma as against the true state of affairs, where there is oneness of desire, there is oneness of quality between the Supreme Lord and the living entity, and that is eternal. The Lord is eternally separate from the living entity as an individual. The individual jiva as an individual is eternally separate from the Lord's identity. So there is distinct eternal identity of the soul, eternal identity of the Supreme Lord. But because they are one in quality, because one has come from the other, because one is the source of the other, because one is existing for the other. The living being is existing for the Supreme Being. The Supreme Being is the source of the living being. The tiny person is existing for the Supreme Person, for the purposes of the Supreme Person. All these points are being brought out by Lord Kapila. And here in this verse it says, such a perfect devotee offers respect to every living entity because he is under the firm conviction that the Supreme Lord has entered the body of every living entity as a super soul or controller. So the Supreme Lord, in one of his Leela expansions, he expands into every living entity who is taken shelter in 84 lakh species of bodies, types of bodies. And when the living entity enters, the tiny person enters these yonis, then simultaneously the Lord expands himself as the super soul Paramatma. The Supreme Person expands himself as Paramatma and resides along with the living entity in each body. So God is there in every one of us, which is an eternal fact in the material world. That is the easiest way to find God. Easiest place to find God. Easiest place to look for God. When the scriptures are revealing that God is living in this body along with the living entity. This simple statements in different parts of the scriptures is misinterpreted by certain type of scholars who cannot accept that they cannot be the Lord. This is the disease of oneness, a different kind of oneness. Existence means there cannot be duality. There cannot be two things. There should be only one. Moment you say living entity and God, then there is. So they say that it is only this Maya Leela of the Lord. What Leela? Maya Leela of the Lord, that the Lord himself becomes Paramatma and Jivatma. So this is the, and both are temporary. And the Lord himself is not a person. He is an impersonal Nirguna. That Nirguna becomes what? Saguna. Saguna God and Saguna Jiva. This is their philosophy. But the Vaishnava philosophy says, almost in terms of Shabda, in terms of if you make statements, it will sound almost same. Because we also say there cannot be any existence other than God and His energy, we say. They don't bring energy. For them, energy means Maya. In Vaishnava philosophy, energy means it is an eternal opulence of the Supreme Person. Shaktiman and Shakti are eternal. For them, source is eternal, formless, nameless, and the energy is creating all these varieties, and this energy itself is called Maya. It's an illusion. So if you take a statement that the Lord is seated in the heart, or the previous verse, one should feel one with the Lord, means one should only feel one with the Lord, don't become one with the Lord. One should feel one. How do you feel one with the Lord? You can feel one with the Lord, you can feel one with another person by becoming one with his desires. So like this, each statement of relationship of Jiva and God is misinterpreted. Throughout the scriptures, there are different places where the relationship between Jiva and God is described. And that relationship is interpreted in this particular way as the Jiva being an illusion. Personality of God is also illusion. But there is a Nirguna God from whom all these temporary personalities, whether it is God or whether it is Jiva, the idea of God itself is an illusion. When there are no two things, then when there is no worshipper and worship, where is the question of God and meaning of God? When you say God means for somebody is God, that means should be a worshipper. So these are not eternal concepts, these are all play of Maya, of that Nirguna Shakti. So here Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example which we should always remember to counter the impersonal understanding. Just because the Paramatma has entered every body as a living entity, the foolish person thinks, just like if a person enters a room, that does not mean the room has become that person. See, beautiful example. If you enter a room, it doesn't mean the room has become you. Similarly, the Lord Paramatma enters each body as Paramatma. Now you don't become Paramatma. You are you, God is God. Then there is a relationship between God and you. For for fulfilling that relationship, the Lord is seated in the heart. As the Upadrishta, as the Anumanta, and as a guide for those who want to wake up from this material slumber and want to go back to Godhead, want to come to their eternal situation, then immediately the Paramatma, the super soul, is guiding the living entity towards the path of transcendental knowledge. So these are the three functions in terms of relationship with the living entity. He observes the activities of the living entities, Upadrishta. Anumanta, he permits, because he is observing your desires. He is sanctioning, Anumanta. And then he is also the guide. These are direct relationship with the living entity. There are many other things that the super soul's presence in this material body is automatically doing, which is happening automatically. Mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That entire this material body acts as a consciousness, as a conscious body, as a consciousness, as a conscious person, because of the presence of the super soul. He doesn't have to do anything. He's just there in this body. When he's there in this body, it will act like a real person. Otherwise, it will not function. Just like when electricity enters the bulb, it will light itself. Similarly, when Paramatma along with Jivatma enters this body becomes live. This bodily, you get the opportunity for even getting the bodily concept of life. What is bodily concept of life? It is a concept. What is the concept? It's a smaranam. Mata smritir jnanam apohanam. Smriti, it is smriti, a false smriti, that I am this body. It's a concept. So that concept also you cannot experience, living entity cannot experience if Paramatma is not accompanying the soul. Because it is a false concept. You are something else. So making these bodies run around, move around, it's all because of the presence of the Paramatma. How they should move around, he is a director of everything in this material existence, the Paramatma. Mayadekshena suyate sacharacharam. By his superintendent, he is the superintendent of all these activities in this material world. So super soul has a lot of activities. One is personal activity in relationship to living entities as Upadrishta, Anumanta and Chaitya Guru. Other is aspects of supporting or being the base for the entire creation. The creation itself is having life because of the Paramatma. So the Lord is seated in our heart as a super soul. And he has certain activities in relationship with the soul. He has certain activities in relationship with the entire existence as a Param Ishvara, as a supreme proprietor of everything. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, that is his relationship with his energy of this material world. Entire material world as an energy. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Suhurdam Sarvabhutanam, his relationship with the living entity is that of the friendly nature. A friend in need is a friend indeed. So the friend he does not interfere with the free will of the friend. Friend never forces another friend. Friend always advises him, hey, mat karo, hey, mat karo, hey, mat karo. Karne ka hai? Tu mera friend hai, karo na. Exactly in the same way the Paramatma is friend. Suhurdam, how Lord is Suhurdam Sarvabhutanam. That you can understand only by, it is not a sentimental friend. He is an absolute friend. I told you not to do it, you want to do it, okay, you enjoy or suffer. And then when you are enjoying your suffering, and when you again call me, I will come and I will help you. But I am always your friend. But as a friend, I am not going to change the laws of nature. Because laws of nature is also mine. I am the friend of all living entities. I am not only your friend. So the laws of nature I am not going to change just for you. So laws of nature is under Mayadekshena Prakriti. The entire Prakriti is running under my direction. And a person who is directing this material energy, a person who is a Param Ishvara, the supreme controller of material energy, that person is a friend of every tiny living entity, Suhurdam Sarvabhutanam. So Krishna consciousness means first to realize the presence of Krishna's expansion as Paramatma in every living entity, which we came across the earlier slokas also. If somebody does not recognize the role of Paramatma in individual's body, his function with respect to living entity, his activities with respect to creation, then without that, if he simply thinks that God is there only in the deity, then that is not Bhagavan realization. Deity is Bhagavan realization. Deity worship is Bhagavan realization. Because there you are having personal activities with respect to the Supreme Lord. Feeding Him, worshipping Him, and offering Him seva. It is highly personal activity. When there is personal activity with the Lord, that activity is Bhagavan realization. Therefore, it is said that if somebody is engaged in proper deity worship, that means Bhagavan seva, he has to have Paramatma realization first. How can he? That same Bhagavan is there in everybody's heart, he has to understand. And therefore, he has to respect every temple of his Lord. My Lord in the altar is expanded into every living entity's heart. My Lord in the altar is active in each living entity. My Lord in the altar is running this entire material existence. His expansion of Paramatma is running this entire existence. So unless that relationship is understood, then you will limit yourself to it is not about limiting. You will see only the matter Vigraha. You will not see the Satchidananda Bhagavan Vigraha. Bhagavan, matter Vigraha naturally is part and parcel, you will see. It is part of the material nature. It's also made up of metal. The Lord has entered that, it has become spiritual, transcendental. The Lord leaves again, it becomes material. So it is a Lord, transcendental Lord, Satchidananda Lord, who is entering and making into transcendental. So you cannot isolate deity from existence. You cannot isolate your perception of deity. We should understand the entire material existence is an expansion of the deity. When it comes to philosophically seeing. But when we are serving Him, we don't think of all these things. He is Paramatma and all these things. We are in Bhagavan understanding. Here is my personal Lord. Lovingly I offer my service to Him. But when he sees another living entity, immediately he sees Bhagavan's expansion as Paramatma in the heart of each living entity. This is one of the important points that Lord Kapila has been speaking in the last few verses. And now he is saying that that Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma. And he doesn't become one with the Paramatma in substance, does not merge his identity with the identity of the Paramatma. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. Nityo Nityanam. It is not temporarily Chetanas Chetananam. One supreme eternal Chetana and many, many Chetanas. Temporary. No. Nityo Nityanam. They are eternal. This separation is eternal. And one is maintaining the others. Ekanam ho bahutavati vidan kaman. Every desires, everything of the multiple eternals are satisfied by one supreme eternal. That is, material existence means that. Existence means that. So yesterday we were discussing something about identities. So there appears to be some need for more clarity. Some last questions were asked in the end. So I made one power presentation. If you can put that. Soul is a person. Who will not agree to this? Mayavadis, Buddhists. They will not agree. Soul is a person. Vaishnavas say it is a fundamental, irreducible reality. Soul means is a Vyakti, is a person. His identity may be different. Identity is a quality of the soul. But the soul himself is a person. Then the question comes, then what is a person? A person means qualities of personhood. Isn't it? Something you say, then personhood means, what does a person mean? What is his qualities? The personhood means having these abilities of being, desiring, thinking, feeling, willing, and acting. For what purpose? For rasa. Each of us are rasa beings. Each of us are anandamayo rasa. Anandamayo bhyasat is the principle of existence of Lord as well as the living entity. So, the basic, we are all running because the entire material existence is running. Every living entity is running because running, moment, chasing. In the material world, chasing. In the spiritual world, receiving. Rasa. What is a rasa? Person means having personhood faculties of being rasa. First, being. I want to be that. I want to be that. You see, so much we can see in the material world also. When you're a kid, when children, what do you want to be? Then the boy will say, I want to be a pilot. So he wants to be there. He wants the rasa of being. I want to be the Prime Minister of the country. I want to be. So this being means I want to become, identifying oneself. So how do you be something? You be something by your ability to identify yourself with that particular position. Identification, self-identification with that is being. You'll get more clarity as you go on. Being. Once you are a being, then that, let's say being is a male or being is a female. It's a being. I am a male. I am a female. I am a dog. I am a cat. I am a demigod. I am something. Once there is a being, then what happens? There is desiring. Desiring is characteristic of that particular being. Yes or no? A male's desire, female's desire, dog's desire, bird's desire, they are all connected to their being. That each being's different, each being's desires are different. Desire of a king is to be a king. Desire of a subject is to be a subject. Desire of a master is to be master. Desire of a servant is to be servant. Servant desires are different, master desires are different. Is it not? So being, then desiring. Being, desiring. To fulfill that desiring, you have to think, feel, will. Your ability to think, feel, and will. And act. And experience the rasa. This is the fundamental nature of the soul. How this is manifest in the spiritual world and material world may be different. But even today, right now, every one of us in this body is having these faculties of personhood, of being, desiring, thinking, feeling, willing for rasa, for experiencing rasa. What is rasa? Next. Rasa is soul's instinct for pleasure, anandamabhyasa. What does that constitute? Satchit Ananda. Love exchange pleasure, sensual pleasure connected to love exchange pleasure, power pleasure, and discovery or knowledge pleasure. There are three energies, Sat energy, Chit energy, Ananda energy in existence. So these three energies are connected to three rasas. So one is love and sensual pleasure, the other is connected to power. Power means what? Power is connected to moving existence. Let's say I move this power, I buy this house. I need to have power to buy that house. That means you are shifting the ownership of that from somebody else to you. So you are dealing with existence. Existence means Sat. Moving around, manipulating existence is called power. So it is Sat Rasa. If you succeed, then you get Sat Rasa. If you fail in something, controlling something, you feel pain of Sat. I could not succeed. When you succeed, yes, I desired something, I got it. I desired something, I achieved it. So these are all decide something where outside you is existence, and I got it. So that is Sat, the power rasa. Discovery or knowledge rasa. We are all curious about different things. Eureka pleasure. Oh, I found it. I knew. Now I know. So you ask questions and you know, because we have eternal quest for Chit. We are eternally hungry for Chit. We are eternally hungry for Sat. We are eternally hungry for Ananda. This is our spiritual soul's instinct. Just like we say, no, body's instinct. Soul's instinct means it is its nature. Soul's instinct is Satchit Ananda. This is rasa. Next. Now this rasa can be of two types now. Krishna rasa and Maya rasa. What is Krishna rasa? Same four things. Loving exchange and sense prasadam pleasure. That is Ananda rasa. How does this Sat manifest in the spiritual world? There is power, but constantly the living entity in the state of surrender. Himself and everything that he has. Surrender. In the material world, the power rasa is manifest as lauding. Opposite of lauding is surrender. So this is lauding is a perverted reflection of surrender. So in the spiritual world, you get surrender rasa. And what do you do with Chit rasa in the spiritual world? You want to know in the material world, what is this Chit? This Chit is, I want to know, I want the pleasure of knowing more, I want to question, I want to know. In the spiritual world, what it is? I want to know the glories of Krishna. I want to praise the glories of Krishna. Stuti rasa. You want to stuti, you want to always glorify Krishna. It is an eternal activity of the living entity. It's the eternal pleasure of the living entity. Just like in the material world, speculating is an eternal pleasure. For the living entity in the material world, this Chit rasa is perverted as speculative rasa. Speculation. And in the spiritual world, that very same Chit, hunger, is meant for understanding the glories of the Lord. That Lord Jiva is seeking more and more. I want to know more and more about the Lord. I want to know His glories. I want to hear His glories. What I have heard, I want to hear again and again. Not only new glories I want to hear. His glories are
ever inexhaustible. Same glory I can hear again and again and again and again. So that is appreciating. So this is Krishna Rasa. So the living entity is a person who has got the ability to be, to desire, think, feel, will, act, to experience either Krishna Rasa or Maya Rasa. Now come to Maya Rasa. Maya Rasa, soul's instinct for pleasure. That same instinct for pleasure is perverted. And that was Krishna-centered pleasure. This is all bodily concept-centered pleasure. Bodily concept means I am this body, which is an illusion, because I am not this body. I am not this material body. So it's an illusion. So based, centered around this illusion, that is a basis. Centered around I am the body, same thing. Ananda Rasa, Sat Rasa and Chit Rasa. Ananda Rasa is in the material world, love, family, friendship, this, all these things. You experience all these things in the material world. And because it is centered around the body, when the body dies, everything finishes. Because it's a drama. It is not eternal. Because the Vyakti is, that we will come to it. How the person who gives love and takes love, that particular individualities are drama roles, is not real. Sensual pleasure. Sensual pleasure in the body, you know, it is not eternal senses. It's momentary. Momentary sensual pleasures are perverted reflections of Satchit sensual pleasures, which are spiritual substance, spiritual energy. The same thing is pervertedly fabricated by Maya through biochemical systems to give an experience of the similar rasas, sensual pleasure. Lauding and power pleasure. In the material world, everybody wants power, independent power. The spiritual world is full of power, but everybody is surrendering their power to Krishna. Everybody, they are Ananda conscious, they are not power conscious. In the material world, everybody is predominantly power conscious. They are not Ananda conscious. Ananda conscious comes later. So they want power. Power Ananda they want. Power Rasa they want. Lauding pleasure they want. Even in sense gratification, there's lauding pleasure. Then, Maya Rasa is discover or speculative pleasure. The whole, so much activities going on, so many universities, each libraries, millions and millions of books. Look at all total speculation. Nothing to do with Param Satya. So if you take any library in this material world, it is a personification of Maya Rasa, Chit Rasa. You can write Achit Rasa library. All public libraries should call Achit Rasa public library. Next. Now let us come. Yesterday is what I was telling, situational personality and situational identity, existential ego, I said. To understand this concept is very important. We are just using certain terms, but this is the way to remember these concepts. The spiritual world, there is spiritual world and material world. Again, soul is a person. He has no other work but being, desiring, thinking, feeling, willing for rasa. Who are you? Somebody asks. That is what you are. I am a person who has got the ability to be different things. And once I want to be that, then I desire as that being. Then I think, feel, will, and I want to enjoy rasa. That is what the jiva is. And is a marginal energy because I can do this either with as Maya Rasa or Krishna Rasa. Now, how does the soul experience this rasa? the soul expands into existential ego of being or sat, or identifying potency to experience Sat Chit Ananda Rasa. That means, being, how does it happen? Being. Being happens, the living entity, just like you take day-to-day example. Let's say I give you a role to play as a king in a drama. Then there is something inside you which you tell yourself, I am the king, and go into stage and play this, I am the king. Just see how much ability you have got to suddenly turn your personality into a king. That is your Sat potency. So in the same way, there is our Sat potency's original being is, I am servant of Krishna. That is existential ego. That is what you are. You are as existence. You are servant of Krishna. Every living entity is servant of Krishna. That is his identity. It does not go anywhere. His identity is connected to Krishna. His identity, Jiva's identity is connected to his source. His identity is not connected to, Indian, American, man, woman, all these things. You will see all these things are not connected to the source. You identified yourself with something which the source has sent, some other thing. But your own source is who? Krishna. So that is existential. It expands ego as existential ego. What is existential ego? I am servant of Krishna. I am member of the spiritual world of other beings. Okay? Now, next in the material world. No, the next, whatever, next slide. Now, in the spiritual world itself, I know I am servant of Krishna. As a servant of Krishna, to serve Krishna, I have to relate with everything else. I have to relate with other devotees, I have to relate with the trees, with the plants, with there's different situations I have to relate with, isn't it? When I relate with that, I need to have situational identity, yes or no? Even in the material world also, each of us, we are having this false existential ego that I am this body. Then centered around this body, we start relating with different things. And you have a personality for each thing. That means when you see me, you have a particular kind of being for that particular moment. Your personality changes. That personality will have a relationship with me. You will have a desire for that particular situation. You will have a thinking, feeling and willing when you see me. Right? And you will relate with me for some rasa. Either devotion service rasa or lauding rasa. For something you will have. So there is a situational personality slice for every situation we have. Even now we have in our play. These are all automatically it's happening. You bring up and then you act through that particular situational identity. So when the existential ego with the situational identity, I'm talking about spiritual world, spiritual situational identity, you know you're servant of Krishna. And suppose situational identity, you are servant of Krishna as, let us say, a particular service that you are doing. Let's say take japa. You are servant of Krishna. Situational identity is, I am doing japa seva. This is the situation. Situational identity is situation. What is the situation? Japa. For japa, I will have a situational identity. What is the situational identity? Pleasing the holy name. That situational identity should also have knowledge, no? We'll have knowledge about seva, sevak, sevya, all that. He will have perception, he will have faith, shraddha, all those things. So as soon as you take your japamala, that particular situational identity will start acting. And when you go on acting like that, then that personality will become strong. Then you will have situational personality slice for japa. For instance, if you do japa, so we say that holding attention is most important. Being attentive to japa is most important. One is to hold the attention and all these things. And the easiest way is to become that japa doer personality. That personality has got all these things. Just like you don't, suppose let us say you are fighting with somebody, you are angry with somebody. You don't have to tell him you have to be attentive in angry. There is no issue at all. Right? Attention is not an issue at all. But when it comes to japa, attention is an issue. Why? Because we have not cultured a personality for japa. We are not cultured. If you cultured as personality, it's an eternal personality, eternal relationship with Nama of the Lord, and that, it's odd. Attention and all is natural. Just like to become angry and fight with any person, giving attention is all natural. Attention and all will be given. So in the same way, so existential ego, situational identity. Now the situational identity is serving whom? The existential ego. Isn't it? I am servant of Krishna. He is satisfied in this particular situation as a japa doer, serving the Supreme Lord. And that situational serving activity, put existential ego plus situational identity plus situational serving identity, in yourself you create a situational personality slice. As soon as you take Japamala, the personality comes. It is a Japa is a relationship with the Nama. Now you come to the material world. What happens? Material world, soul expands into false existential ego. What do you think about your existence in the material world? What is the best concept of existence that we have in this material world? I am this body. I am this body. Isn't it? So, I am this body is taking the position of I am servant of Krishna. That is where all the thing begins. False existential ego. This is an eternal existential ego. This false existential ego, transient. And what is that? I am this body. I am part of my family. I am part of my society, worldly society. Body, family, society. Stuck. You are stuck in this world. From the spiritual world, you are stuck in this world. The family is very important. Because sometimes we cannot recognize that because we have left families. But for the outside people, I am this body alone is not the illusion. I am this body and my family. And my society. Maybe it expands up to society, nation, everything. But I and my family. Then we preach also, very often we are insensitive to this factor that very deeply in a person who is in the outside world, I am a member of the family, I and my family is a very deep self-identification. We are extremely lucky to be free from that. Grahamanda Gopam. They say, from that well of, we are free from that. A big liberation to be free from this identification of the family. Very strongly one feels, I and my family. Okay. What is my existence? I am this body, I am part of my family, I am part of this society. Now, just like here, we take up different situational identity for rasa. This existential self, false existential self, what is this? Bodily concept. I am this body. That ghost called, I am this body. Takes on existential situations, false situational identity. We adopt different situation identities which are unique identities in relationship with what we are dealing with. Next. Then we create situational personality slices in our memory, experiential memory. That is a long subject. I'm not getting into it. What is false ego? What is, where is false ego? Is it really because existential ego is a real sat. It is you. But who is this false ego? Is it another you? Is it another you because it's called ego? No, it's not another you. It's called false ego. Then what is that false ego? Where does it exist? It exists in the perception of the person. Any illusion, where does it exist? In the perception. That is the difference between real and illusion. Real means outside you. Illusion, for anything to be illusion, there has to be a seer, no? Who is mistaking the truth with untruth. So illusion, so false ego is in our consciousness. False ego is a material element which is outside you, but in my consciousness, and that is not me. Okay, next. Now you see spiritual world and material world. In spiritual world, how activity goes on, rasa activity. Real spiritual personality slices. You will have multiple personality slices. Morning to evening you are doing service to Krishna, just like morning to evening you are doing different services of Krishna. You have this service, that service. Each service will have different dealing with people. Each service is a different service situation. In each service situation you will have a situational identity and a situational personality. Right? So multiple spiritual personalities, situational personalities are adopted by the existential personality. I am servant of Krishna. In the material world, the false existential self that I am this body is adopting different situational personalities. I am father to my son. This is one situational personality. I am husband to my wife. Another situation. Same existential ego. What is that same existential ego? False ego that I am this body. That means this body is to be served with the situational identity that I am father. I want to get the rasa from my child that I am the father. I want father rasa from the child. I want husband rasa from my wife. For rasa only, this situational identity is adopted for rasa. Like this, different rasas in the material world we adopt. I am this body playing the role of the body personality to gratify my body, family, society. I am this body playing the role of a male personality to gratify my body, family, society. I am this body playing the role of an Indian personality to gratify my body, family, and India. I am this body playing the role of a father personality to gratify my thousands and thousands of situational personalities we have in our subtle body. Now these situational personalities, now take the same personality, that situational personality by itself is not Maya. Because it is serving the Maya ego, therefore it is Maya. Now you take the same situational personality. I am servant of Krishna playing the role of bodily personality if service demands that. I have no problem in acting as a bodily person. Just like karmis are acting, if service demands. I'm not saying it is me. I'll take this body. Next life I'll take another body, another body. It's a situation for me. It is not existence for me. This body person is not my existence. Then I am a servant of Krishna playing the role of a male personality. If the service situation demands that, I can take on anything. Everything that I do in this material world, I can take on. I am a servant of Krishna playing the role of an Indian if service situation demands. I have no problem there are many things for me to glorify in connection with Krishna, which is very special to India. Therefore, I am an Indian. I am proud that I am an Indian. I am proud that I am an Indian because Krishna was born in India. I am proud as an Indian because Rama was born in this country. I am proud as an Indian because the Sanatana culture is still there in this country. There's nothing wrong in this India concept. So nothing wrong, it is spiritualized. I am servant of Krishna playing the role of a father if service situation demands. So everything in the material world, even if you are bodily personality, it's a role play and you don't think I am the body. What do you think? I am servant of Krishna. That means all these material designations no longer become your eternal upadhi. They are not your upadhi. They are role plays. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. It is not my personalities, my upadhi. It is the situational upadhi. Not my upadhi. It is my situational upadhi. In this situation, I project that. In another situation, I project that. So to understand and to remember that whatever we do, we should serve our existential ego, which is permanent. Why it is called existential ego? Because it really exists. This, I am this body ego, it is not, it is false existential ego. It is false. It's not you, but I think it is me, and all my situational, I take up different situational identities and personalities in order to serve that false ego. That means the karmis are living the life of somebody else. The karmis are not living their true life, because their true life is they are true servants of Krishna, and they have to serve Krishna and enjoy Krishna rasa. So because they live somebody else's life, they don't get Krishna rasa, they get Maya rasa only. So this is the idea of situational personality and existential personality. Any questions on this?
Nirmuktam. So when you say Sarva Upadhi means give up the false designations, for false
No,
identities?
your designation is I am servant of Krishna. And you have got a personality that I am servant of Krishna takes on this personality as a father, as a husband, as a temple president, as a temple commander, as a preacher, as a Brahmana, as a Kshatriya, as a Vaishya. You don't think I am a Brahmana, I am a Vaishya, I am a Kshatriya, I am a Shudra. But the reality of role play as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya in the material world cannot be denied. Correct? So better you adopt the upadhi of I am servant of Krishna, and don't take these as upadhis, but it is not your upadhi, because as long as you are in the situation, you are that personality. You are not that. Moment you are in another situation, you are in another personality. Is it not? Take for instance, if you are in your office, you get a telephone call from your wife. As soon as you hear her voice, immediately the situational personality as a husband is loaded in your mind. And then you comfortably, you know what to talk, what not to talk, everything according to that rasa. Either fighting rasa or what rasa does that, that's a different matter. According to that rasa. Okay? And then, after that, immediately she says, please talk to your son, he's here. Immediately son comes on the phone. What do your mind do? Switch over to father personality. Correct? So just see how instantaneously, if it is not there, will it come? It is all there, built up in a cultured and cultivated. So the situational personalities are cultivated, cultured. It is nothing wrong in it. It is very useful. It is very useful. It is, these situational personalities serve the existential ego. But if it serves the I am the body, upadhi, then that is Maya. If it serves I am the eternal servant of Krishna, then even I am the body becomes a situational situation. So then, like this, any number of personality we got, personality slices we have got in our subconscious mind. We have got means we have created that, and we bring it out and spontaneously we act. A husband and a wife newly get married, right? They don't know each other. Slowly they are creating the situational identity day by day, month by month, right? And then slowly it's become spontaneous. How to act as a husband, how to act as a wife. 1 year back, they were strangers. Within their system, they created that personality slices. Those are called situational identity. Acting slowly, identity turns into personality. You no longer recall yourself as I am her husband. You don't recall. By acting, but in the beginning, yes, you have to be very cautious. Now I have to act. What is it as a husband, what am I supposed to do? Wife, as am I supposed to do? They enter into relationship. So entire thing is formed in their minds. Those are all situational. But those situations are all serving the basic existential ego that I am this body. That is the problem. If two Krishna conscious people, I am servant of Krishna, they get married, If the existential ego, the real existential ego is not forgotten, then they also will try to get into a relationship. But for what rasa? To please Krishna, Krishna rasa. Just see, so it's no longer Maya. As long as you don't forget that, your existential ego. So constantly remembering that I am eternal servant of Krishna, that's what you are, that's what we are. That is very fundamental. And that is what we are practicing throughout in all our devotional service, that is a practice. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.